Spiritforged has landed. The second set of the Riftbound trading card game is here, and it's a substantial update that adds lots of new mechanics and variety. We have many of the core products from the set here, courtesy of Riot Games, so as we show it all to you on camera, we'll talk about what the set consists of and how it fares in comparison to Origins. Let's take a look at the champion decks first. There are two decks this time around, Rumble and Fiora, and just like in Origins, each package includes a full 56-card deck built to be playable and usable right away, as well as a booster pack and a nice little box to keep the cards in once you unpack them. These decks each contain an epic rarity champion unit as well as their signature spell, plus a lot of great staple cards in their particular domains that are solid foundational pieces for lots of decks. These deck lists are freely available online, so you can look up exactly what's in there if you're curious. Both champion decks retail at MSRP for $20 US, unchanged from Origins. Here's a closer look at the booster display as well, housing 24 booster packs of Spiritforged. Booster displays retail at MSRP for $120 US, unchanged from Origins, but they'll likely be pretty tough to come by, especially at that price. We'll discuss that part later on. Individually presented booster packs will also be available, most commonly at places like GameStop or Walmart, with an MSRP of $5 US, unchanged from Origins. In case you haven't dug in yet, Spiritforged itself consists of 221 new cards and 3 new primary gameplay mechanics: Equipment, Gold, and Repeat. Equipment represents weapons or other offensive tools that you can attach to a unit for a given cost to gain additional bonuses like more might or extra abilities. Equipment persists on the field when the unit it's attached to is defeated. Gold is a standalone gear token that units and abilities can generate, and once available, it can be consumed to add additional resources on a given turn. Repeat essentially allows you to pay a card's cost twice to use its ability a second time. The set also features 30 overnumbered cards, with 12 of them having signature variants in addition to Spirit Blossom themed runes, so the shiny cardboard factor has been amped up considerably. Normally we give numerical scores to the games we review, but that's really hard to do with a trading card game release, so instead, we've broken down the Spiritforged set and its launch into 3 categories: what's gotten better since Origins, what's stayed about the same, and what's gotten worse. This isn't only related to the cards that make up the set itself, but instead the end-to-end experience of obtaining, collecting, and using those cards in whatever context you prefer. This way, you can focus more on the specific part of the Riftbound experience you care about the most and hear how it's changed. This is all from our own personal perspective based on what we're seeing in our own local communities and online, as well as in our conversations with Riot themselves, so as always, your mileage may vary. So what's gotten better since Origins? First off, the collectability and quality of the cards themselves have both made significant strides and improved considerably. A new set with new cards inherently make a card game like this more collectible, but that increased number of overnumbered cards, signature variants, and themed runes gives a lot more opportunity to chase and get excited about finding something special. And given how many players have strong emotional connections to lots of these champions, it's smart of Riot to lean into this as much as possible. In practice, everyone benefits from this approach, but since more competitive players will likely focus on just buying the singles they need to flesh out their decks, it's especially exciting for those who lean more into just cracking packs and collecting the cards rather than playing them. And it's important for the game to appeal to those folks just as much as more hardcore players. They're spending money on this too, after all. In terms of the cards themselves, many players noted how many Origins cards were affected by printing and cutting issues, with frayed edges and a general lack of quality control a surprisingly common sight. Riot attributed this to their thicker card stock for English language cards being harder on UVS's printers, but with later Origins runs and Spiritforged in its entirety, the two companies seem to have pretty much resolved this issue. While we obviously can't speak to every card out there, pretty much every Spiritforged card we've come across, stretching all the way back to our first hands-on with them at the Houston qualifiers in December, has had no issues to speak of. Curiously, there have been reports of some interesting differences in the color and foiling of specific cards, mostly Legends. Many are attributing this to different print runs, but it's not yet known how widespread these differences are. The mechanics and overall playability of the game have also taken some big steps forward with this set. It's not always a given that a new gameplay mechanic will make a TCG better or more fun, but from our perspective, all of the high-level introductions here are solid. As you may know, Equipment was originally planned for Origins but held back for Spiritforged, and this was a very good move. Not only did it prevent Origins from being too complex right out of the gate, but it also gave Spiritforged a lot of extra strategic oomph with what is arguably its signature edition. These persistent, attachable bonuses and abilities are beneficial to every domain, and factoring their usefulness as well as their costs into decision-making is very, very fun. Gold is an excellent additional resource that helps make decks more flexible and aggressive, and lists that generate a lot of them tend to have lots of strategic options as games go along, which is very cool. Repeat gives spells and abilities of all costs even more power as games go on, turning them into even more of a potential threat, and that layered level of usefulness is great to see too. Balance is never perfect, even with a still limited card pool, and some cards will inevitably rise to the top. Draven has more than asserted itself in China, for example, and purple cards are as dominant and oppressive as ever, possibly to the point of long-term concern. Generally speaking, though, the new mechanics, legends, and abilities add a lot of depth to the gameplay, injecting a level of creativity and experimentation that's just really hard to get from a single set meta. And finally, there's the pre-release experience. Without needing to handle large volumes of players in a learn-to-play context, pre-release events were free to focus more on the content of the new set itself, and this was a really strong approach. Pre-Rift kits were distributed to local game stores, each containing 5 booster packs and a 6th seeded pack with a legend and a matching champion unit. While Riftbound isn't unique in its approach to an event like this, pre-Rift kits are still a really excellent way to help players get their hands on product, familiarize themselves with the new mechanics, and start experimenting. Drafts and sealed tournaments are generally just a really fun and lightweight way to play Riftbound. One of our favorite ways to do so, frankly. And it's great to see Riot leaning into this with the reliability, predictability, and accessibility that a pre-Rift kit brings. More of this, please. Now, what's staying about the same? For one, product availability from your local game stores should be more or less where it was for Origins in terms of volume and restocks. Generally speaking, there's a bit more Spiritforged to go around compared to the first wave of Origins product, but not in significant amounts. Riot has said on multiple occasions that they do not expect stock to appreciably increase until sets 3 and 4 later in the year, so temper your expectations accordingly. While not ideal, it's understandable for now, but if we get to the summer or fall of this year and product is still routinely this hard to find, there will be much more critique to go around. Your local play scene will likely feel about the same as well. Origins fatigue and dwindling prize support has caused attendance and engagement at many stores to drop, considerably in some cases, but with a new set to explore and a refreshed supply of things like Nexus Night packs and boosters, people should be back out to playing in droves. Nexus Nights and Summoner Skirmishes remain the primary types of events you'll see at your local game stores, so the familiarity of these events, combined with this new set of cards to experiment with, should keep things healthy for the next few months. Now let's talk about what's gotten worse, and let's start with the high-level competitive experience. We're not referring to actually participating in something like a regionals level event here. That's actually quite fun and makes for an engaging weekend. We're instead referring to the experience of registering for and planning to attend an event in the first place, which from our perspective has taken a considerable step back from Origins. Registration for the Bologna and Las Vegas regionals was nothing short of a chaotic mess, with bots running rampant, sloppiness in execution like European VAT taxes being added to US-based purchases, and an online infrastructure that was simply not up to the task. A vast majority of players, including significant competitors and community figures, were left in the lurch as a result, and the sentiment around these events has generally dropped. For their part, Riot has acknowledged the need to do better here, but it remains to be seen exactly how this part of the experience will improve moving forward. There's no question, though, that it has to. More generally, regionals-level events are in a strange place at the moment. There are 12 scheduled around the world for 2026, with more to be announced, which is a sizable amount, yet demand still far eclipses availability. Riot has stated that about 4 to 5 times as many people attempted to register for Vegas, for example, than they could actually accommodate. Compounding this, a significant number of players use these events as a primary source for product via vendors, side events, and prizing, putting an even tighter squeeze on event access. As stock increases for future sets, this specific pressure on these events should be alleviated, but we wonder if more can and should be done to tweak the scale, frequency, and focus of these events going forward. Given that there's been all of one regionals event outside of China as of this recording, there are naturally going to be growing pains, and in a sense, it's a good problem to have as the game's popularity far outpaces how many players Riot can let in. That said, it will pose challenges for long-term retention with those most dedicated to it, unless there's some relatively quick improvements here. Product availability from Riot themselves also remains a challengingly scant affair. Much like regionals registration, the first-come, first-served pre-order process for Spiritforged was untenable for most, with seemingly next to no actual players getting product thanks to bots quickly overwhelming an online system that simply could not meet the moment. Once again, a discouraging step back from the Origins experience. Riot replaced this process in early February with a lottery system for remaining stock, which did work, flowed more fairly, and got better community reception, but this speaks to a broader issue of players not being able to treat Riot themselves as a reliable conduit for product. For many players, especially new ones, they have not yet formed a relationship with local game stores that's close enough to gain access to what are often tightly guarded pre-orders for Riftbound product. Others may not have a Riftbound scene locally, and still others simply don't live near a game store at all. For them, Riot may be the only way to get product at or near MSRP before aggressive markups from online vendors and scalpers become their only option. And situations like this risk further discouraging interested players who simply cannot get their hands on cards. One can argue about the viability of using the Riot merch store in this way, and at this point it seems that it cannot be used as such. As a secondary source of product that you essentially luck into, yes, but not more than that. Going forward, we hope that increased product availability will combine with more reliable ordering processes to resolve this issue, but again, only time will tell. And since Riot has indicated that they'll use this lottery system again for Unleashed pre-orders in the spring, this may be the new normal for the time being. And that about covers it. On the whole, Spiritforged pushes the Riftbound trading card game forward in some fun and satisfying ways that will make it more appealing for collectors and serious players alike. There are still immediate concerns to address around the competitive experience, and in the long term, better product access will be critically important for everyone involved, but this is still a strong second set that really does make the game better. With only 2 sets in the wild and a still limited number of mechanics to wrap your head around, if you've been thinking about getting into the game, now's a great time to do so. We hope you enjoyed this discussion of the new set, a longer review than we usually do, but there was a lot more ground to cover as well. Keep it tuned here to HypocriticGG for more things like live Riftbound gameplay, event coverage, and interviews with key Riot creatives, just to name a few. Thanks so much for watching. Stay fresh, cheese bags. We'll catch you back here real soon.